Completely cooked. That's what it feels like, isn't it? Not just tired, burnt out, like everything you spent years building has collapsed into ashes. Rock bottom isn't just an idea people talk about. It's a real place. A place where even thinking about tomorrow feels exhausting. And if that's where you are right now, I need you to hear something before we go any further. Feeling broken doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But here's the strange part nobody tells you about losing everything. Sometimes life clears away what you never would have had the courage to let go of yourself. It feels like destruction, but what if it isn't? What if there's something hidden underneath all this that you haven't seen yet? When everything familiar disappears, something unexpected happens. You stop protecting a life that wasn't working anyway. And underneath all the wreckage, you find bedrock, a place solid enough to build something entirely new. You're not standing at the end of your story. You're standing at the first page that actually belongs to you. Before you rebuild, there's one thing you have to put down: the weight of who you thought you were supposed to become. You don't need to fix your whole life this week. You don't even need to fix it today. Real comebacks almost never begin with giant victories. They begin with one tiny promise you actually keep. And that's when everything quietly starts to change. Not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you finally became ready to walk forward. So stop trying to sprint while your soul is still catching its breath. You cannot rebuild a life from a place of constant exhaustion. A legendary comeback needs fuel. And right now, your tank isn't empty because you're lazy. It's empty because you've been carrying too much for too long. Once you've rested, look honestly at the ruins, not to punish yourself, but to understand what actually happened. Some of it belongs to you. Own it. But some of it never did. Bad timing, broken systems, impossible expectations. Don't carry guilt that was never yours. Here's the question most people never ask themselves. How much of your pain is coming from what happened, and how much is coming from what you keep carrying? When everything feels broken, your mind wants to fix everything at once: your career, your health, your relationships, your future. But that's how people stay stuck. Real change begins with something almost ridiculously small. Drink the water, clean the desk, reply to one message, take one walk. Tiny wins don't look impressive until they become your entire comeback. And then something even more powerful begins to change. Not your circumstances, your story. Right now, it probably feels like you're reading the final chapter, but maybe you're only standing at the page where everything finally starts making sense. Every great comeback has a chapter that looks like defeat. Every legend has a season where nothing seems to be working. And that's why this chapter feels so dark. Not because your story is over, but because the next page hasn't been turned yet. The person who walked into this fire isn't the same person who's standing here now. That version of you did the best it could with what it knew. But the version of you that's walking out, it carries something the old version never had: perspective. Strength isn't built before the storm, it's built while walking through it. That's why this season feels so painful. You were never meant to stay in the fire. The fire wasn't your home, it was your teacher. Every difficult season leaves you with something valuable. Not more fear, but more wisdom. Not more doubt, but more resilience. So don't rush the comeback. Real transformation isn't loud. It happens one quiet step at a time. One day, you'll look back at this chapter and realize it wasn't trying to destroy you. It was introducing you to someone you've never met before. And here's the truth the beginning of this story couldn't see. Rock bottom wasn't the end. It was bedrock, the strongest foundation you could ever build on, because everything weak had already fallen away. So keep walking, even if today's step feels impossibly small. Small steps still move you forward. The comeback was never about becoming who you used to be. It was about becoming someone stronger, wiser, and freer than you've ever been. If you're in your own fire right now, remember this: you're not falling apart. You're being rebuilt. And when your comeback finally arrives, you'll understand why life had to feel completely cooked before something extraordinary could rise from the ashes. If this message found you at the right time, subscribe and let's keep doing this soul work together.